Good day, guys. This is Dan from Cryptolite, and boy, do we have a lot of updates for you guys today, including a market lookover and where the market is going, huge Binance news, Starbucks, Petro, and more. So hang out with us over the next few minutes as we bring you the latest and most important news in the crypto space. The market is still looking green. We saw a bit of a dip the last few days because of some bad news regarding Binance, which we will cover in a minute. But we've since recovered more positive news about Binance and the market is recovering nicely. These are the top gainers for today. If you look at the graphs, the Storm, Bitcoin Dark, Metal, and Veritasium, these are clearly pump and dump. So if you look at the graphs, look here, flatline and then pump. Flatline, pump and dump, flatline, pump. They don't follow the market trend at all, and their gains at 112% is simply ridiculous for today. I definitely advise staying far away from these coins for now. The coins that are genuine gains are the ones that tend to follow the market trend but have a slightly steeper curve than the rest. Sitting at number 5, we see iOS token. Now, iOS token is kind of the graph shape is kind of sitting between the general market, but also a little bit steep, much steeper than we would expect. So it's hard to tell from the graph whether it's genuine rise or not. So we will have to take a look through the website as well as the social media to see whether there's any genuine news to account for the rise. And after taking a look, the truth is there isn't. In fact, on their own social media Reddit, their own members are asking why there is such a spike. And the graph here clearly shows a pump. This is not a natural graph. This is a pump looking graph. And so I would stay away from iOS tokens until this settles. So then, the biggest genuine gainer today is Tron, and Tron is expected to have a big week ahead with testnet launch by the 31st of March and also news of coin burn coming up this week. One of our viewers has requested a review on Tron before the testnet launch, and I will do it. Tron is a coin that a lot of people have very strong opinions about, but very few people really understand what the whole project is about. But because it's such a high profile coin, I think that it is worth educating our community what is the coin really about so that we can each form our own accurate and educated opinion on it. So I'll try and get the review out by early next week. Make sure you catch that video. Other coins that are doing well today include Nebuleo, Zilliqa, Verge, and Nucleus Vision. Nucleus Vision is one of our favorite picks for this year, but I didn't realize that it actually climbed into the top 10 recently, so that's really awesome. We've got a review of Nucleus coming up really soon as well. There are only 5 coins in the top 100 who are in the red, and 4 of them are below 2% losses. The biggest loss is Syscoin, who's only 4% loss, so that's still below 5%. So on the whole, today is a very green market. It's been a good day. Now, will tomorrow be a good day as well? We certainly hope so. There's an encouraging news article by Bitcoin Analysis titled Bitcoin Price Notches 6% Increase as Cryptocurrency Market Jumps 20 Billion. And in the article, according to Changbin Zhao, the CEO of Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange at the moment, the price rise is due to increased volume, and this is what we need. Remember the last couple of reviews, we talked about Bitcoin rising dominance and how this wasn't new money in the market. It was simply shifting of funds from altcoins to Bitcoin. And we also said that if we want to have a genuine bull run, the one thing we need to see is new money coming into the market. So volume is what everyone is hoping for. The article ends by saying, if the current daily trading volume of the cryptocurrency market can be sustained over the next few days, the market will be able to rebound from last week's losses. So definitely keep your eyes on the volume for the next few days, guys, because this will give us a very strong sign as to where the market will be headed over the next week. For those who don't know where to find this information about the total volume, is at the top of the coin market cap page website. Alright, moving on to Binance, there's been lots of news about Binance over the last 2 days. 2 days ago, there was an article that said Japanese regulators set to warn Binance to halt operation. Now, this was really because Binance had attracted a large number of Japanese customers with relatively low fees, and this irritated authorities because Binance refused to verify the clients' identities when they opened the accounts. So this was actually really great. I'm really glad that Binance respected the privacy of their clients and didn't release their personal information without their permission. It didn't end there because the next day there was an article that said Japan suspends Binance, one of the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchanges. So the Financial Services Agency issued a formal warning to Binance, ordering it to suspend its services to Japanese residents with immediate effect. The agency said the Hong Kong-based exchange was violating Japan's rules on fund settlement, but it did not say whether it's considering criminal charges. But Changpeng Zhao, the CEO, tweeted, "No need to worry. Some negative news often turn out to be positive in the long term. Chinese have a proverb for this. New, often better opportunities always emerge during times of change." Now you gotta love this guy. Nothing gets to him. Recent hackers attack on Binance, servers going down, governments now telling him to shut down, yet he never panics and he always seems to find some way to turn the situation around. So today, it was announced that Binance will be moving to Malta. So they are moving away from Asia because China and Japan have become quite hostile towards them, and they are now going to set up base in Malta. The Prime Minister Joseph Muscat warmly welcomed the cryptocurrency platform and spoke of his desire for Malta to become global trailblazers in the regulation of blockchain-based business and the jurisdiction of quality and choice for world-class fintech companies. Colleagues joined him in welcoming Binance and spoke of a desire for Malta to become known as the blockchain island. And not only that, in the same article, Binance made a huge announcement that Binance will soon start a fiat to crypto exchange on the European island nation and is close to securing a deal with local banks that can provide access to deposits and withdrawals, said CEO Changpeng Zhao. He also encouraged other crypto businesses to follow Binance's lead and to consider relocating there. So wow, Malta's really going to benefit from this deal as Binance has a daily trade volume at the moment of $2.6 billion. And if they go into fiat, it's going to see a huge increase in the fiat use of the small nation. So if I was the Japanese financial services, I'll be kicking myself in the feet at this point. That's not all the news on Binance. Over the last couple of days, Binance also officially launched their Mac client, further boosting their popularity. And the results of all these news is that Binance is the top cryptocurrency in the Asian market today, at one point having a gain of 26%. So my thoughts on this whole train of processes with Binance and news is that this is exactly what decentralization does. The whole concept and purpose of decentralization is to take the wealth away from the big corporations and governments and return it to the masses, giving the small people a chance to become wealthy. Now, big governments and banks don't like this because decentralization basically cuts them out of the pie. So over the last few months, we've seen a lot of resistance against crypto, and many of them are trying to shut it down or impose regulations to control it. US, China, India, Korea, Japan, they've all been doing it over the last few months. But crypto can't be killed, and so it naturally moves towards alternative environments where it can thrive. And in this case, Binance is moving to Malta, and it's the small island nation that will gain the wealth of crypto from Binance, not the big nations. And I see this as a very apt analogy of what's going to happen with crypto wealth as a whole. So go Binance, and once again, I must say I'm very impressed with how quickly and how calmly they respond to bad news and turn it to good. I'm becoming kind of a big fan of the Binance team. Moving on to Petro, Venezuela's new national cryptocurrency. 5 days ago, Donald Trump, the President of the United States, issued an executive order to ban Venezuela's new national cryptocurrency, the Petro, for being purchased by Americans or anyone inside a US territory. Now, my personal opinion of this is I think this is a good move. Personally, I think the Petro coin is somewhat scammy because they claim that it's pegged to the oil reserves. But if you actually go to the government to try and get a barrel of oil for the crypto, you cannot do that. So it's not really pegged because your crypto isn't worth any real value. Also, reading the white paper, it doesn't seem to be benefiting the citizens because the wealth doesn't seem to be trickled down to the citizens. In fact, many people are saying that it's benefiting the government only, and many people suspect the cost of living will go up tremendously and the average citizen will actually suffer more if the money is not used to benefit them. So whilst I don't have much opinion about Trump as a president, I certainly do trust his financial intuition. After all, investments is how he became a billionaire, and I think he's on the money here. But of course, Venezuela didn't take it lying down. So a day after that, they launched an article that basically said Venezuelan politicians blast US sanctions as Petro ICO goes public. And today, the latest news is Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced that Petro can be purchased with Russian rubles. We are just starting, Maduro said, adding that many businesses, including Americans, have declared intentions to purchase the Venezuelan cryptocurrency. So not only is the country verbally retorting against US, they are now also suggesting backdoor ways for US citizens to buy Petro. That's not going to end well. Okay, now recently there have also been rumors that Russia might have been involved in the development of Petro, which Russian governments have denied. But this news today of the backdoor being through Russian currency has now sparked new speculation and new gossip over this matter. Whatever it is, I'm sure this is not the end of it all, and I'm sure we'll hear very soon from the US, Venezuela, or Russia. Our next news is the race between SegWit and Bitcoin Cash is heating up. So Bitcoin Cash and SegWit were both scaling solutions for Bitcoin at one point. Bitcoin Cash made the size of each block bigger, while SegWit sought to compress the amount of data in each transaction. The main thrust of this article is basically a comparison between the two, where SegWit initially started slower, but seems to have caught up and even overtaking Bitcoin Cash, as you can see from this graph, where SegWit is the orange line and Bitcoin Cash is the blue line. Nonetheless, the margin between them still remains very small and the two are quite comparable. I think though, if you look at the SegWit uptick chart, we see that the SegWit has really been gaining a lot of traction recently. And also, as I mentioned in our news updates, the last couple of news updates about Lightning Network finally seems ready to hit the market and be a practical scaling solution. And if Bitcoin manages to use Lightning, which Bitcoin Cash cannot, then Bitcoin Cash is really going to trail behind and there won't be any use or any reason to use Bitcoin Cash anymore. So in my opinion, I think the future is going to look rather grim for Bitcoin Cash. Our last piece of news for today is about Starbucks, the reason why Starbucks embraced blockchain technology. So the giant Starbucks has finally announced about embracing the blockchain technology into the supply chain system. The project is called Bean to Cup and was announced on 21st March via Starbucks website. The concept isn't too complicated. The blockchain technology is going to be used in order to provide an adequate transparency in the logistics process between the place where the coffee beans are produced to the cup. Director of Traceability at Starbucks, Arthur Karulethwa, is focusing on the importance of traceability features that show a high level of importance in the coffee industry. This could be a seismic change in an industry that hasn't had much innovation in the way coffee moves across borders and oceans. At the same time, I've met farmers who have very little by way of possessions, but they have a mobile phone. Digital has become the economic engine of this century, and traceability preserves the most valuable assets we have as human beings, our identity. So this is great news. It's the kind of news that means crypto is taking steps towards mass adoption. And this news is separate news from what we've heard a few weeks ago about Starbucks considering using cryptocurrency as a payment in their stores. Now that would be absolutely awesome if it ever happens. I'll even start drinking coffee to support Starbucks. So that's all for me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us in today's news update. I hope you're having an awesome weekend. If you like this video, subscribe and follow us so you don't miss out on any of our content. Next week is the last week of the first quarter, which means a lot of crypto roadmap events are ending next week. So it's going to be a huge week for crypto space. We'll be back on Monday. Make sure you catch us then. But until then, have a great Sunday and we'll see you later.